ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, July 24th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open, 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We got a lot to get into today. We've got baseball action coming up tonight. The Cats in action, taking on the Sock Puppets. That's coming up tonight, 6:45. But that's later. First of all, we've got to talk about the reports today that Marshall may have its athletic director, and that's Austin Peay athletic director Gerald Harrison. According to several reports, he is to be named the next director of athletics at Marshall University. Calvin White, who covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville, is going to join us in a few minutes. He's going to give us the scoop on what he knows and tell us a little bit more about Harrison and what he might bring to Marshall. And, of course, we're going to hear a little bit more as we get through the show from Marshall's participation in Sunbelt Media Days. We've got a couple of comments today from Jalen Slappy and Cam Smith as we get closer to football season. And then we're going to try to break down, and this might be a few days from now. We really need to understand more about what this executive order that President Trump has just signed. It's the Saving College Sports order, which, quote, requires the preservation and, where possible, expansion of opportunities for scholarships and collegiate athletic competition in women's and non-revenue sports. This executive order also, quote, prohibits third-party pay-for-play payments to collegiate athletes. And this doesn't apply to legitimate fair market value compensation that a third party provides to an athlete, such as for a brand endorsement. So that's some of the language, very vague of what this executive order really means. Also says, quote, provides that any revenue sharing permitted between universities and collegiate athletes should be implemented in a manner that protects women's and non-revenue sports. So we're going to find out more about this, what it really means, and how it impacts Marshall and college athletes in general. So we'll talk more about that as we know more about it. But a couple other things we got to get into today. Hey, some good news first. Let's go with the good news. Obinna Anachili Killen signed a 2-year deal with a team in France, recently playing with the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team. So he is going to be playing with Elan Chalon, and that is a team in France. So congratulations to him as his professional basketball career continues. And then the bad news today, and for some, because he was very divisive, he was very, very beloved as a wrestling icon, but later in life his legacy began to tarnish. He did it to himself, majority of it. Wrestling icon Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea, dead at 71. Reports indicate that he died of a cardiac arrest. And for some, be honest with you, I don't take any joy, even though I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan as a youngster. Training, saying the vitamins, the prayers, the whole shtick. Big Hulk Hogan fan. Hulkamania was running wild in my house when I was a younger Paul Swann. But later on in life, of course, you get disillusioned with your heroes, and you find out more about him. And there were some things that he has said and done that others have probably taken issue with, and I can't condone a lot of the things that he's done either. So you take the good and the bad. It's a sad day that Hulk Hogan has passed away. I would like to remember him more as Hulk Hogan than Terry Bollea. I think you can separate the two to a degree, but very shocking. We're starting to lose a lot of our icons, Gen X icons. We lose Ozzy just a couple of days ago, and now this. So it's not been a very good week when it comes to celebrity deaths. It's not a good week anytime someone passes away. So we will remember Hulk Hogan. We'll take your text 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of that generation. Of course, there was him. I was a big Rowdy Piper fan. Big Roddy Piper fan. I even watched his movie, Hell Comes to Frogtown. That's how much of a fan I was of Roddy Piper. Of course, he's more known for his role in the John Carpenter film They Live, which is a great film. Also, of that generation, huge Dusty Rhodes fan. Who isn't a Dusty Rhodes fan? The American Dream, who did not tarnish his legacy. And then you got Ric Flair. Love him or hate him, he's the champ of all time, and he lives the lifestyle. If you've not seen the 30 for 30 on him, it's amazing to watch, and I don't know how he's still alive with the lifestyle that he lives, but Ric Flair, thankfully, is with us. Of course, you remember when the Bengals were in the Super Bowl? He took L.A. He picked L.A., so unfortunately, I had to part ways with Ric Flair after that. I mean, he was correct. That was his pick, and he made it. But, I was rooting for Joe Burrow that day to win the Super Bowl, and unfortunately did not happen. And, I couldn't forgive Ric Flair for that, speaking that into existence. So I had to part ways with Ric Flair. But, difficult day for a lot of people because you got mixed feelings. I mean, Hulk Hogan, childhood hero, superhero for a lot of people. And then, of course, later on in life, the person that you thought you knew, you really didn't. And so we say with a heavy heart that thank you, Hulk Hogan, for all the memories. And we note the passing as well of Terry Bollea. I think they're two different entities. We're going to hit the first break, come back. We'll start looking at that text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're also going to welcome to the program Calvin White. He covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville. He's one of the first ones on the ground. The news is coming out today that Marshall University is going to have a new athletic director. Gerald Harrison, the athletic director currently at Austin Peay, will be accepting the job at Marshall. I expect an announcement any day now. I would suspect maybe Tuesday. Of course, I have a vacation coming up in a week or so it's probably going to be the presser during my vacation. That just always happens. Same thing happened when Mike Hamrick was hired. So I take time off, and a major personnel decision is handed down. That's basically you can almost time it that way. So we'll have on the program when we continue Calvin White. He's going to tell us more about Marshall's potential incoming athletic director, Gerald Harrison, when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Injured in a car wreck? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
Here's another Kindred Communication Community Chatter. Hope's Place, a child advocacy center in Ashland, is presenting the Gatsby Gala 2025 Riverboat Cruise. It'll be taking place Saturday, July 26th at the Port of Ashland. If you like tickets or other information, call 606-325-4734.
This Kenner Communications Community Chatter brought to you by Mark Porter Chevy GMC, Ashland, home of the car ferry. Go to markporterautogroup.com.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thank you, Dave. Don't forget tomorrow, going to be Steam Release, your chance to get it all out. That's during tomorrow's show. Starts at 10:06 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to open that up in just a few minutes. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. Let's turn our attention now to the news of the day. Several reports have indicated that Marshall University may have its athletic director. All the reports are leaning towards Gerald Harrison, the current athletic director at Austin Peay University. Calvin White joins us now. He covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville, and he's now on the program. Calvin, thanks for joining us today. And what can you tell us about the reports coming out that Gerald Harrison is going to be the new athletic director at Marshall University, effectively leaving his position at Austin Peay?
Yeah, Paul, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. This is a super cool thing to get to do. But, yeah, so Chris Lowe from ESPN first confirmed it this morning. And then, I reached out to the university, didn't receive a comment from them, from Austin Peay this morning. But, Gerald Harrison, ever since he got to Austin Peay in 2018, he's done nothing but, build a lot of the programs in that athletic department up. He hired Scotty Walden, who's now the head football coach at UTEP. He went 22-12 over 3 seasons in Clarksville. He hired Cassie Stanfield, who's the softball coach at Austin Peay. She's the winningest coach in program history, and she tied the program record for wins in a single season last year. Corey Gibson, who's the men's basketball coach, he's going into his third season. His first season, the Govs made the A-Sun championship game. But, throughout the entire athletic department, throughout his tenure at Austin Peay, he's done nothing but build that program up.
What are some of the tangible examples of things he's done as far as maybe fundraising, facilities? What might excite Marshall fans about him? Already making good hires, that would excite a lot of people. But as far as building the university's athletic department up from a facility standpoint, a financial standpoint, kind of culture he brings, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so it was 2022, so about 3 years ago, he secured the single largest donation to the athletic department in Austin Peay history. He got a $15 million donation from Joe and Kathy Maynard, which went toward the entire athletic department. They used it to renovate the softball and baseball field and things like that. And then 2023, when S&M Bank Arena opened in downtown Clarksville, he was kind of a big part in getting Austin Peay men's and women's basketball to play over there. So Austin Peay men's and women's basketball plays in a brand new arena downtown after they had played in the Dunn Center over on campus for a very long time. So men's and women's basketball is playing in a brand new arena, and he secured the single largest donation to the athletic department in school history just for overall renovations and stuff like that for the athletic department a couple years ago.
Calvin White is our guest. He covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville. The report's coming out today that Gerald Harrison, the current athletic director at Austin Peay, will be accepting the same position at Marshall University. So Austin Peay has had a lot of athletic success. Has that been mostly in the Olympic sports, football, basketball, a lot of championships in the bullet points? Where's most of that success come from?
I would say that most of this success has come from your major sports. Like I said, when Scotty Walden was here in Clarksville, he was really good, 22-12 over 3 seasons before he took the job at UTEP before the start of last season. Corey Gibson took the Govs to the A-Sun championship game for men's basketball his first season here. Cassie Stanfield, like I mentioned earlier, in softball, she's just recently tied the single season win record. She won 39 games this past season. And then Roland Fanning, the head coach of the baseball program, he had, I believe it was 6 players drafted in last year's MLB draft. He had 2 or 3 drafted this past year. Baseball won the regular season and A-Sun tournament last year, I believe, and then had another really good season this past year. So most of the coaches that Gerald Harrison hired during his tenure in Clarksville have done, mostly nothing but win and just kind of elevate their respective programs, higher than where they were when they were hired.
How would you characterize him? How would you describe him personality-wise? What's he like to focus on? How would you present him to someone who's never met him before?
Every single time that I was around him, I never got the chance to speak that much with him one-on-one. I've only been in Clarksville a little over a year. But every single time that, I was around him, he's mainly kind of a quiet guy, especially the times I was around him. His daughter played high school basketball at one of the high schools here in Clarksville. My main beat is high school sports, so I got a chance to watch his daughter play at the high school and stuff like that. But the times that I was around him, he was, usually a pretty quiet guy. But whenever I would cover football and men's basketball games, he was very, out in public, talking to people, shaking hands, things like that. Just everything he could do to, promote Austin Peay and the Austin Peay Governors.
So would it be fair to say maybe fairly reserved in certain situations, but he's pretty good going out, meeting the public, fundraising, doing those forward front-facing things that an athletic director has to do.
Oh yeah, he might not be the the most talkative individual, in certain spaces, but he's definitely going to be the forward face of the university, like he wants our athletic director to be.
What's the reaction so far coming out of Austin Peay as far as the fans? Maybe any insight that you've gotten so far as this move? It seems like he's pretty successful at Austin Peay. So, any insight into maybe why he would want to take this job at Marshall?
I wouldn't say I have any insight on why he personally would want to take it, but everything that I've seen from the reaction from fans and things like that is, they hate to see him go. And like I mentioned earlier, he's done nothing but elevate the athletic department ever since he's been here. And whoever Austin Peay does decide to replace him is going to have very big shoes to fill.
How would you describe the fan base? I'm kind of curious. Is it a close knit group? Pretty spread out. I'm just kind of get a feel for, what Austin Peay's fan base looks like compared to what Marshall's going to look like when he comes in.
I don't really know how I would compare it to Marshall, but in terms of the Austin Peay fan base, I would say it's a very tight-knit community. Even last year during the football season when first-year head coach Jeff Ferris finished 4-8, even when the Govs were dropping games all season, the stadium was mostly full. There were still people coming out and watching the games. There's a lot of alumni that come back and watch the games. Basketball could, probably receive a little bit more support. But, outside of the year that Corey Gibson and the Govs made the A-Sun championship game 2 years ago, men's and women's basketball hasn't really had that much success recently. But I would say the fan base is a very tight-knit community. And I definitely think that a fan base like Marshall, where they have history in their football program, history in their soccer program, or men's soccer program, things like that, I think that the Marshall fan base will definitely take to Gerald Harrison very quickly.
Our guest is Calvin White. He covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville. The reporting coming out today that Gerald Harrison will be accepting the position at Marshall University of athletic director, same position he holds at Austin Peay. Is there anything else that maybe we should know about him that I didn't get to or I maybe missed?
No, Paul. I think we hit on the main things. Like I said, he's elevated the athletic program or the athletic department. Most of those programs that he's hired coaches for have, done nothing but build the programs they're at. He just recently hired a new volleyball coach a couple months ago after that program had been not very successful over the last couple seasons. But, I think we hit all of it. Like I said, he's done nothing but elevate the athletic department ever since he took this job in 2018.
Our guest is Calvin White. Main Street Clarksville is the publication he works for covering Austin Peay. So we'll be following your reporting as well as not an official word yet from either Marshall University or Austin Peay, but we expect that's incoming soon as reports indicate that Gerald Harrison is going to be the next athletic director. Calvin, it was good talking to you today. Good luck in the future, and thanks for sharing a little insight on Marshall's potential new athletic director.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for having me on.
That's Calvin White. He covers Austin Peay for Main Street Clarksville. We're going to take a break, come back. We're going to hit the text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
The Tri-State is quickly learning that the bow tie means a better buy, and I've got July 4th deals all month long. Number one selling F-150, now up to $10,000 off, 0.9% financing, or just $499 a month. Explorers up to $5,500 off. Mustangs up to $7,500 off. Plus, get up to 125% of KBB for your trade. New ownership, improved processes, better deals. Visit University Ford in Huntington or at universityfordwv.com. See dealer for complete details.
The soundtrack to your summer is back. Mount West 9th Street Live, downtown Huntington's favorite Friday night tradition. Presented by Michelob Ultra and White Claw. This Friday, July 25th, it's the Great Outdoors Marine and Tackle Night, featuring Souls of the Wounded on the Marshall OBGYN stage. Also, a special night supporting the restoration of the historic Keith Albee Performing Arts Center. Purchase a ticket to tour this iconic venue, see restoration progress, and enjoy a beverage while experiencing the magic of this legendary theater. Details at keithalbee.com/events. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for the Thundering Herd Rally, August the 15th. 9th Street Live, driven by University Ford and built by Cardinal Roofing. Every Friday through Labor Day on 9th Street between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Brought to you by Delta Hotels, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kindred Communications. Don't miss the fun.
Looking for fast, easy, and secure electronic banking? Community Trust Bank has a wide variety of banking services to meet your needs, including internet banking, bill pay, and mobile banking. We have even more great services like Apple Pay and Google Pay. Make payments directly from your smartphone. And Zelle, a fast, easy, secure way to send and receive money from your smartphone. Visit us on the internet at ctbi.com or stop by and see us at one of our 79 branch offices.
Community Trust Bank. Building communities built on trust. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Think summer. Think sunshine, lake days, beach trips, and all that sand, salt, and grime clinging to your car. That stuff doesn't just look bad. It can dull your paint, cause scratches, and even lead to rust. Protect your ride and keep it shining all summer long with a trip to Thoroughbred Express Auto Wash. Fast, easy, and built for real clean. Find a location near you by getting started at thoroughbredexpress.com. Join the winner's circle with Thoroughbred Express Wash, where your summer starts sparkling.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
It's time to open the text line at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. This is The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Big news today is, according to reports, Marshall University will be hiring Gerald Harrison as the next director of athletics for the university. We spoke just a few minutes ago, if you just joined us, to Calvin White. He's a young reporter from Main Street, Clarksville, covers the beat. And, of course, so far, I haven't heard a negative thing about the hire, if it's the hire. Not a single thing negative about Harrison. So maybe he's the guy. I kind of heard from a back channel that he interviewed well, stood out. So if he's the guy, nothing but positive from our text line. Texter says, I did some reading on Harrison, and I'm on board. And I think he fits and will do fine. Also, where can we find pics of Shuey progress? I'm not sure that anything's been posted just yet. I drove by again today, and I can see where they've got a few things started. I don't think there's anything on the outside that's really picture-worthy just yet. You know, if they're going to post these photos, you know, they got to look good. I don't think there's anything that's really picture-worthy just yet. We got to get this thing going soon. This thing has got to be up and running here real quick. We got football season in less than, at least for the Joan, we got to get this thing ready in, 30 days? I know we've got a few more days after that before the first game at the Joan this year, but you got things going on. Shuey's got to be ready to go. So I'm hoping that the project is completed and it looks good. And it generates a lot of revenue for the Thundering Herd. That's the whole idea behind this. Those who have extra cash, want a premium experience at Marshall football, have an opportunity to get that experience. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So for those of you that maybe have been scouring the internet today or trying to figure out, is Gerald Harrison the right fit for Marshall University? Is he the guy? What's your early impression of him? Do you like the potential hire? Do you think that he will be able to elevate Marshall to a higher level? Or do you have something against it? I'm kind of curious if that is something that you might have an issue with. I want to know. So you can hit the text line now. And again, it's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Yesterday was Marshall's turn at Sunbelt Media Days, and we got to hear a lot from head coach Tony Gibson. Wants to be here in Huntington at Marshall. I think those sentiments were echoed, talked about the kind of player he wants, physical, hard-working, and that seems to resonate with a lot of Herd fans. What are the players saying about Coach Gibson? I asked that question Jalen Slappy yesterday, and he talked about his experience. He has a different point of view on this. He's one of the veterans on the team now, so he's not coming in new. He's previously been under another coach. He knows Marshall football. What's his experience with Coach Gibson? What's he like about him?
Well, my experience coming from, I've been here in 4 years, so my experience has been really well. I always say this about Coach Gibson: he's real genuine. He's not a lying guy. He's a real honest man. And like the difference is between like he's bringing in a Power 5, more of a Power 5 way to deal with this G5 really, and I really like that. Like practices in the morning. Or like the way how we go about lifts. We lift more than last year. We've been lifting 4 times a week, and I feel like that's been helping. Like I gained muscle I never thought I had. I've been faster. I've been stronger. That's really it, really.
Hear that? It's a power mentality at Marshall University, and Jalen Slappy decided to stick around. He didn't bolt. He didn't head off to Southern Miss or hit the transfer portal. And yeah, I saw the video going around from Sunbelt Media Days about how Coach Huff pretty much let everyone know on the team, hey, I'm out of here in a few days. Right before the championship. I'm out. I'm hitting the Southern Miss. And so a lot of guys decided to go. A lot of guys decided to stay. Jalen Slappy, one of those. Cam Smith, newer player to the Thundering Herd roster, talked about his experience so far with Coach Gibson.
My experience has been good. I'm one of the guys that transferred in January, and like he said, like Coach Gibby keep everything transparent. Like he always kept it real with me, and I really like how they invest in us. Like me, I came in at a $188, and now I'm at a 205. So it shows like we be putting in a lot of work, and I changed my body a lot than what I was last year, and I like that.
So how's this team gelled? That's the big one for me. You've got a lot of new people. Football is going to be this way for the foreseeable future, where every year a lot of student athletes transfer out, a lot of student athletes transfer in. So you're not building teams based on high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. You've been with the program 4 or 5 years. Instead, you hit the recruiting day 1, day 5, day 70, day 90. The transfer portal. You're always looking. You're always trying to bring players in. You're trying to replenish. And that's got to be hard to put a team together and kind of gel and become a unit, a cohesive group. So Jalen Slappy talked about how this team has really gelled under Coach Gibson.
I feel like they've been doing better than I expected, really. With all the new guys, everybody not been playing with each other. They've been doing way better than I expected, especially this summer. Like Coach said, he feel like the biggest part is fall camp. Because of the no school, you got so much time in strictly football. I feel like for us as a team, as a brotherhood, it's summer because that's the closest part y'all can get. That's where you really establish that brotherhood and all the transfers come in. And I feel like they've been doing really well with it, especially the offense. We go out every time. We do stuff that when they ask, they don't even ask us. We just do it just because, especially the offensive line. The offensive line has been the closest I have been around in the 4 years I've been here. Like, it's crazy to say that, but it just has been super close, a brotherhood already. In the summers, we still got a week left, and I feel like we've been doing a really great job at it.
What's a newer player like Cam Smith have to say about how this team has come together and gelled?
Going off what he said, like we just been like getting close with each other. We started off slow in the spring because like everybody was getting used to the transition and everything. But at where we are now, I feel like we close enough to like we understand each other now. And like you said, we still have a week left and going to fall camp. We just want to get even closer because we added new guys. But like you said, we're really close. Like I can talk to anybody in any position group at any time. Like you said, we all go out together, no matter what position group, and I feel like that's good because, like, the relationships you build, like, off the field and on the field, they help you, like, when we out there playing with each other on Saturdays.
So some positive things about Coach Gibson coming from the player's point of view. So fall camp almost here. What's the focus going to be for Coach Gibson on what this camp is going to be about?
I mean, I'm not going to sit and worry about our first opponent. Hell, if I did, I wouldn't sleep. Obviously, we got Georgia right out of the gate. So what I'm going to do is focus in on Marshall. I'm going to focus in on how good can we get from day to day, and that's how I'm going to measure it. And these guys will tell you, I'm very transparent. After practice, I tell them if it's not a good day, if one side beats up the other side, I let them know. And I want everybody to understand where they stand. I'm not that kind of coach that's going to tell that a boy, you have a great job, way to compete today. No, I'm going to tell them the truth, and we're going to get better from that every single day. Sometimes those are hard conversations, and I don't want anybody in our program comfortable with the players. I want them to be on edge, to compete every single day and get pushed by their backup, and that's our job as a staff to be able to do that.
Comments from Coach Gibson and Jalen Slappy and Cam Smith from Sunbelt Media Days. We're going to open the text line back up in just a moment. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. The big story of the day, according to reports, Austin Peay Athletic Director Gerald Harrison will be accepting the position of Athletic Director at Marshall University. Your reaction when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
Hi, I'm Nori, and over the years, my mother and I have opened our homes to those who need it most, and it's been so rewarding. I bet you didn't know that some adults who have unfortunately been mistreated need a place to call home in West Virginia. It happens more than you know. They may have some physical or mental limitations, and they need your help. Everyone deserves a place to call their own. I can tell you from my experience, it's worth it.
If you have an open heart and want to open your home, Adult Family Care may be the right fit for you. Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an Adult Family Care Home Finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Will your Medicare coverage or Affordable Care Act plan be impacted by upcoming law changes? Benefit Design Services has served the Tri-State for over 35 years and has the expertise and experience to help wade through the confusion. They can guide you and find the best solution for you. Benefit Design Services can help with Medicare supplements, Part D prescription plans, or Medicare Advantage plans and more. Call Benefit Design Services at 304-736-9854 or stop by their office on Route 60 in Barbersville, behind the Pink Elephant.
Hurt at work? Tom Boggs is here for you in Huntington, and he's brought the expertise of Warner Law Offices with him.
Call 345-6789.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Open text line the rest of the way on today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. Texter says, Paul, Austin Peay's coaching hires look to be so-so, but hopefully we're already set with our coaches. If he can fundraise, do something with the other end zone, and schedule better than Spears, I'll be happy. Appreciate the text. I also got a graphic of win-losses under A.D. Harrison. How important is the fundraising? Lifeblood of the university, right? Lifeblood of the athletic department, fundraising. That's got to be a big key. Also, how important will facility upgrades be? A lot of things got done. A lot of things need to still be done. We could outline a list. We could have a list ready to go. If he's going to be the athletic director and, say, Marshall University makes that announcement, brings him in next week, we could have that list ready to go. I'm sure you have your personal list. I will say this for athletic director Christian Spears. You know, when he took the job, I know from firsthand reports that he called a lot of people, and these were donors. These are the big money people, and I happen to know one of them. And so he personally called them, wanted their ideas, get their feedback, and that's going to be important for Marshall because it's just going to become more expensive to do this. For college athletics to be successful, it's going to take a lot of resources, and it's going to take a lot of revenue. And that's why we have upgrades to Shuey Building to create a new space that can be sold at a premium. There need to be more spaces like that so Marshall can generate more revenue, because now you're in a situation where you're not generating revenue so you can build facilities, and that still matters. Don't let anyone fool you. That still matters. You can have as much money as you possibly need to pay players, but if your facilities are dirt and they're terrible, I don't know who you're attracting. And so you got to pay players. You got to make sure you're sharing revenue. You got to make sure you're spreading it across the board so everyone gets a fair piece. You can't overvalue any one particular player. You got to make sure that everyone gets a proper cut with the resources you have. At the same time, you got to maintain facilities. You got to make sure that your venues are as good as possible. You got to maintain the fan experience. That's going to be a big one right there. Sure, you're paying players now, and you're making sure that everyone gets a fair piece of what you're able to generate. But how do you generate that? Well, you got to make sure that the facilities are up to spec, and you got to make sure the experience is worth it. And I know there are a lot of complaints. I hear them all the time. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So the news today, possibly a new athletic director has been hired or in the process, and if reports are correct, it's Austin Peay athletic director Gerald Harrison accepting the position at Marshall University. So as we learn more about Marshall's potential new athletic director, we'll open the text line up for you. We got a lot to get into still today. And I think the big thing that's holding over from yesterday that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and I'm going to talk tomorrow to Coach Morgan Zirkle. Coach Z is going to come on the show tomorrow. And she made some hires on her staff, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that and where she hopes the program is going. And, of course, you know she plays professionally, and her team's in the championship. So we'll talk a little bit more about softball tomorrow with Coach Z, so I'm going to hold that back a little bit. A couple other things I wanted to get into yesterday that I really didn't get a chance to do. First of all, I want to congratulate Randy Payton. A lot of you might remember him as the former sports editor of the Wayne County News. He's the sports information director at the University of Rio Grande. He was named the 24-25 River States Conference Sports Information Director of the Year. He's a good friend of the program. It's the second time he's received this award It is described as recognizing outstanding service and dedication to promoting student athletes and the conference. I mean, he was at the Wayne County News for what, almost 20 years, and he's been doing this a long time. So I just want to give a shout out to him and congratulations to him. Sports information directors, when they do it well, they make our jobs tremendously easy. And they make sure that we know what's going on with the athletic department, with the team, players, stories that might be worth talking about, writing about. They are basically the pipeline for us. So when one of them gets an award, an honor for doing a great job helping us, we definitely want to make note of that. And Randy's just a tremendous guy. So I didn't get a chance to mention that yesterday. And, of course, Randy's got a great university to promote. University of Rio Grande won the River States Conference Commissioners All Sports Cup for the 24-25 school year, earned 69 out of 70 possible points. Rio Grande won 6 conference championships. That includes track and field titles and regular season and tournament titles in men's soccer and softball. Oakland City University finished second with 65 points, winning 4 conference championships. So a tremendous program at Rio Grande. They're doing some good stuff up there. Football soon, right? Everybody's doing football now. And you know why? It's because it's going to be a enrollment enhancer. You're going to bring in a new group of student athletes to play football, and that's going to include support staff, graduate assistants, things like that, student workers. That's why you're seeing a lot of programs, try to improve their athletic offerings, because it's a way to improve enrollment. It's a little different at the lower levels, but at the same time, that's how you generate opportunities to increase and grow your university. I mean, that's why football is so important. Academics is what it's really about at Marshall University, but football definitely helps when it comes to attracting people. I mean, the mission statement is athletics is what the front door of the university. I mean, that's pretty much how it's been described, but really it's more about the academics. But at the same time, the alumni will give more when football's doing better, and that's what we're looking at here. We've got baseball action coming up tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. A reminder, Coldcats baseball taking on the Bristol State Liners yesterday, got the win 12-2, so we're hoping that the good luck continues tonight, 7 o'clock, this time against the Burlington Sock Puppets. It is Military Appreciation Night, and if you can't make it, you can always listen to the game right here. Home games all season long, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Hey, how about the Pirates yesterday getting the win over the Tigers 6-1, sweeping the series? I talked to a couple Pirates fans today, and they're in complete shock. The Reds got the win over the Nationals 5-0, a complete game for Cincinnati starting pitcher Nick Lodolo. Guardians got the win over the Orioles 3-2. Cleveland going for the series sweep today at Progressive Field. How did they do? Well, I'm going to tell you before we run out of time, because they played today at 1:10, and they dropped the final game in the series to the Orioles 4-3. So that's the result coming out of the Guardians-Orioles matchup. And, of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're going to have Marshall softball coach Morgan Zirkle joining us. She's got new additions to her staff. She'll tell us more about that. Of course, she's also still playing right now. She's going to be competing for a championship in softball. So we will talk to her about that and find out more about her new additions And maybe we'll have a little bit more clarity on the potential hiring of Gerald Harrison as the new athletic director at Marshall University. The news coming out today, and we'll keep an eye on it throughout the weekend. I'm hoping we get something tomorrow. Or at least if we don't get something tomorrow, we get an announcement early next week. But I'm hoping that the deal is a done deal. Of course, here's what I anticipate: an emergency Board of Governors meeting to say yes, and then we get the official announcement following that, and then the introduction to the community about a week or so later. So that's what I'm anticipating when it comes to the timetable for this. I would say maybe Tuesday, if not sooner. Keep an eye on the website. They got to give notice to the Board of Governors meeting before they do it. So that's going to be your cue. If you see anything on a meeting, an emergency meeting, you know the deal's just about done. So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully we will find out sooner than later. And, of course, as soon as he's hired, we're going to try to get him on the program. I'll work on maybe the same day, but I'm hoping that he's pretty media friendly. That's my wish list. A athletic director that will come on more frequently and give us the lowdown on what's happening. You know, someone like Coach Gibson that's going to be super transparent. I mean, Coach Gibson giving us quarterback information during his presser yesterday. I mean, when's the last time you had a real good idea, and not by guessing, a real good idea of who the quarterback might be starting the season? If you didn't hear it yesterday, here's what he said.
Right now, Carlos Del Rio, if we played today, he would be our starter. He earned that coming out of spring.
There you go. When's the last time you heard a coach at Marshall University tell you who the quarterback's going to be in July? I don't think I ever heard Coach Huff say, yeah, here's our guy. It's July. I'm going to tell you. That's never happened. That's going to do it for this edition. Again, thanks for being a part of it. I want to thank Calvin White. He is a reporter from Main Street Clarksville. He covers Austin Peay. Young reporter on the story today. Gerald Harrison potentially accepting the position at Marshall University as athletic director. He is Austin Peay's current athletic director. And that's going to do it. Be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.